That'll round up of our top stories. Time now to get a business update. Yuka Roye joining us here on the set. Morning, Yuka. Beginning with this Brexit story, and specifically that businesses are gearing up for all possible scenarios.
Well, with just under 6 months left before the UK leaves the bloc, ports across the continent are trying to prepare for every possible outcome. Europe's largest port, Rotterdam in the Netherlands, is bracing for the worst-case scenario of Britain crashing out of the EU without a deal. But there are also opportunities, as Selina Sykes reports.
The port of Rotterdam is the largest in Europe. Around 450 million tonnes of shipments are handled here every year, 8% of which cross the Channel and reach the UK in under 6 hours.
If there is no deal reached, then we will need to hire around 930 people. But if there is a deal, like a deal with Canada, we're still going to hire 750 people.
The UK government insists it will leave the customs union. A transition agreement would keep current EU customs rules in place until the end of 2020. After this period, the UK would become a so-called third country when it comes to trade, meaning additional inspections, extra paperwork and delays at ports are inevitable.
We need to do import inspections in the harbour, mainly for veterinarian goods like fish or meat. And we also have to do, we think, an increase in 100% of export inspections, and that will be mainly flowers and plants.
The port of Rotterdam is also preparing for an increase in shipments to Ireland. In the case of a hard Brexit, Irish goods that currently transit through the UK would have to pass through ports in Antwerp and Rotterdam. With the EU finalising negotiations for an economic partnership with Japan and the provisional application of a free trade deal with Canada, the port of Rotterdam is also expecting more shipments from other parts of the world.
Well, let's take a look at the markets now. Thursday, Wall Street closed up, and that's carrying over today on the last day of the trading week.
The momentum is certainly there. European markets opened higher as concerns over the US-China trade battle took a back seat. As you can see, London's FTSE up 0.5 percentage point, and the rest also comfortably up. Adding to confidence, France says its household purchasing power index rose by 0.7% in the second quarter of this year. In Asia, major indices are also comfortably in the green, with Tokyo's Nikkei closing up 4/5 of a percentage point. This, of course, after the Dow and the S&P marched to record highs on Wall Street on Thursday. The Trump administration's latest 10% tariff hike on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods takes effect next Monday. They will rise to 25% on January the 1st. Beijing is set to retaliate by imposing additional duties of 5 to 10% on $60 billion worth of American goods. But the latest tit for tat is apparently not as bad as investors had feared. Moving on to some more business headlines at this hour. Shares of Jet Airways tumbled to a 4-year low in the wake of an incident over its cabin pressure system. On Thursday, a flight from Mumbai had to turn back shortly after takeoff after the pilot forgot to switch on a system to maintain cabin pressure. More than 24 passengers were treated for minor injuries. Separately, the Indian carrier also had its offices searched by tax authorities. Aston Martin says it's seeking a price tag of up to £5.1 billion at its market debut in London next month. The manufacturer of James Bond's cars will be the first British car maker to go public in decades. It makes all its vehicles in Britain, but CEO Andy Palmer says the company is prepared for all possible outcomes of Brexit. The bidding war for British broadcaster Sky is set to come to a head this weekend. Comcast and 21st Century Fox will take part in a rare, closed one-day auction designed to end months of battle over control of the pay TV group. The auction will begin after the London stock markets close on Friday and end sometime Saturday, following a maximum of 3 rounds of bidding.
And finally, Amazon wants to make its AI voice assistant to be present everywhere in your home. Yuka, tell us more.
It wants Alexa to do more for you, like warming up your dinner. On Thursday, the company unveiled a slate of new Echo speakers and Alexa-enabled devices such as microwaves and wall clocks. It also announced a new feature that will allow the devices to monitor the user's home and send alerts to them and security companies if anything goes wrong. Amazon also announced Echo Auto, an accessory that allows drivers to integrate Alexa into their cars. Here's David Limp, Vice President of Amazon's Devices and Services Unit, speaking earlier.
Certainly, she has gotten more knowledgeable over the last year. We've added billions of new facts, and she has learned to do a whole host of new things. Just in the last month, she's starting to learn fantasy sports, and she's even dabbling in a little bit of calculus.
Yuka, I'm not letting Alexa in unless she's willing to pay rent. I can't do it. Thank you, Yuka, very much.